September 1st, 1939.
Poland stood up to fight the Third Reich. 17 days later, the Soviet Union struck from the east. Between two totalitarian systems, another partition of Poland took place. Wolyń found itself under Soviet occupation. For the people living there, this was only the beginning of the tragedy.
On June 22, 1940, Wołyń. The front moved east. Wolyń fell under German occupation. In the shadow of the Great War, however, a tragedy was brewing that would claim tens of thousands of lives. July 1943. Europe had already been burning for 4 years. Caught between two totalitarian regimes, German and Soviet, with thousands of Polish families living in Wolyń. Simple people, farmers, mothers, fathers, children. For decades, they lived alongside their neighbors. They worked together, traded, helped each other during harvest, baptized children, said goodbye to the dead. It seemed that nothing could destroy this everyday, ordinary closeness. But on this day, something was different. First, the little girl noticed it, the silence. Then the faces. Then the tools that weren't being carried to the field. Outside the window stood well-known people. People seen almost every day. People with whom until recently bread had been shared. Neighbors. The father understood faster than the others. He looked out the window and saw something that no human should ever see in the eyes of another. Not anger, not arguments, not fear, but a decision. He didn't try to fight. He had no one to fight. He had no one to fight against. Strangers did not stand before him. There stood people he had known for years. People whose children played with his children. People he called neighbors. On this day, however, that ceased to matter. He was not judged for his faults, not asked about his deeds, not accused of crimes. One thing was enough. He was Polish. What happened next is hard to describe in words. Witnesses recalled suffering that is impossible to imagine. Cruelty beyond the limits of human comprehension. Of death that was meted out quickly. Of pain inflicted for the sake of pain itself. Wolyń was not just a place of mass murder. It was a place where man stripped man of his humanity. And the greatest witness to this tragedy was often one's own family. Rape for the sake of rape, ripping fetuses from pregnant women, taking the lives of children, dismemberment. What happened in Wolyń was no ordinary wartime tragedy. It was not a fight between two armies. It was not a clash of soldiers on a battlefield. The victims were primarily civilians. Women, children, the elderly. People who posed no threat to anyone. Witnesses of those events recalled unimaginable cruelty. Suffering inflicted without mercy. Families destroyed before the eyes of their loved ones. Of death that was often not dealt quickly. In many places, the crimes were carried out using simple farm tools. It is this fact that still causes particular horror among historians and researchers today. July 11th, 1943 went down in history as Bloody Sunday. On that day, dozens of Polish settlements were attacked simultaneously. It was the culmination of crimes that continued for years to come. Houses burned,
Entire villages vanished. Entire families perished. Along with them, a world built over generations disappeared. According to historians' estimates, over 100,000 Polish citizens were murdered in Wołyń in Galicia. Among them were thousands of women, thousands of children, thousands of people whose only fault was their origin.